$4,500. That's the number circled at the bottom of an invoice sitting on my bench this morning. And the man who owns that car didn't do a single thing he knew was wrong. His Rogue had 61,000 miles on it. The transmission isn't slipping or limping, it's dead. And what killed it wasn't age, and it wasn't bad luck. It was 5 ordinary driving habits, and every one of them costs you nothing to stop doing today. Stay with me, because the 5th one is why most of these boxes die before 70,000 miles, and almost nobody warns you about it until you're standing at a counter looking at a number like his. I've turned wrenches for 27 years, the last 19 of them buried up to my elbows in Nissans and Infinitus. I started inside a dealership service department, watched exactly how the sausage gets made, then walked out and opened my own shop so I could tell folks the truth instead of the script. I've dragged more dead CVTs out from under these cars than I can count, and I've read the same tired story on almost all of them. So here's the plan. I'll walk you through the 5 things that cook these transmissions, mildest habit to worst, and tell you precisely what to do instead. Every week I put out one video like this that pays for itself, so stick around. First, you need to know what you're actually protecting, because it changes how you drive. Your Nissan doesn't have gears like your dad's old automatic. It's got a CVT, a continuously variable transmission, and the ones in these cars are built by a company called Jatco. Instead of a stack of gears, it runs a steel belt squeezed between 2 cone-shaped pulleys. Those pulleys open and close to change your ratio on the fly, and that belt has to grip them hard enough to move 2 tons of car down the road. There's no gear taking the load. There's a belt clamped by hydraulics, riding on a thin film of special fluid. That's a clever design when it's happy. It's a fragile one when it's not. And what keeps it happy is one thing above all else: temperature. Here's the part nobody explains to you at the service counter. Everything inside that case is cooled by the very same fluid that makes it work in the first place. When that fluid gets hot, it gets thin. When it gets thin, the belt starts to slip against the pulleys. And a slipping belt makes heat, a lot of it, very fast. So follow the chain with me, because this is the whole ball game. Heat causes slip. Slip causes more heat. That spiral keeps tightening until the fluid actually cooks. The metal surfaces start shedding tiny shavings, and those shavings circulate right into the valve body, the brain that controls all your pressure. Once metal's in the valve body, you're not fixing anything. You're replacing the whole unit. That right there is the $4,500. So burn this in before we go 1 inch further. Heat is what kills these boxes, never the miles. Which brings me to habit number 1, and it's the mildest of the 5, so don't panic yet. The jackrabbit start. You know the one. Light turns green. You mash the pedal, and you're first across the intersection like it's a competition. In your dad's old geared automatic, that's just normal wear. In a CVT, it's something worse. When you stab the throttle from a dead stop, you're demanding maximum grip from that belt at the exact moment it has the least to give. The pulleys haven't fully clamped down. The fluid pressure is still climbing, and for a split second, that belt is slipping under full load. Do it once. No harm done. Do it at every light, every day for 3 years, and you've heated and polished those pulley faces thousands upon thousands of times. That shows up on my bench as glazing, a shiny, burnished look on the pulley surfaces where the belt's been slipping and burning. Once I see that, I know how the car was driven before the owner ever says a word. The fix here costs you absolutely nothing. Roll onto the throttle instead of stabbing it. Give it that first half second to build pressure, and let the pulleys grab hold before you ask for real power. You'll reach the next red light at the exact same time, I promise you. Smooth starts are free horsepower for your transmission's whole life. Now, the next one is sneakier, because it feels like you're doing nothing at all. Habit 2. Holding the car still on a hill and drive, on the throttle, instead of on the brake. Picture it. You're nosed up a sloped driveway, or sitting on a parking ramp waiting for a gap. Instead of holding the brake, you feather the gas just enough to sit still against the slope. It feels smooth. It feels controlled. And it is one of the single hottest things you can do to a CVT. Think about what's actually happening in there. The belt is trying to hold the entire weight of the car against gravity, fully clamped, while barely turning. There's almost no motion and no airflow to carry heat away. It's just a belt slipping in one spot, cooking one patch of pulley, generating heat with nowhere for it to go. I had a customer who parked nose up on a steep incline every single night and rode the throttle to creep the last few feet into his spot. 60-some thousand miles, and it was done. He swore he babied that car, and in every other way, he did. This one habit ate it alive. The fix is free, and it's dead simple. On a hill, use the brake to hold the car, never the accelerator. If you're pointed uphill and waiting more than a second or two, your foot belongs on the brake pedal. Let the brakes do the holding. That's literally the job they were built for. And a brake job is pennies next to a transmission. All right, before we get to habit 3, pause right here and do 2 free things for yourself. First, grab your VIN. It's on the dash by the base of the windshield or on the sticker inside the driver's door jamb. Go to nhtsa.gov, type it in, and check for open recalls on your car. It's the government's own site. It's free and it's current. No dealer required. Second, and this one matters most if you're driving one of the 2013 through 2018 Altima, Sentras versus Rogues or Pathfinders. Nissan quietly extended the CVT warranty on a number of these cars. So look up your VIN or call a dealer's service line and ask them plainly whether your CVT warranty coverage was extended. If it was, and your transmission is acting up, that could be thousands of dollars that aren't yours to pay. I'll wait right here. Do it now, because once you fall out of that coverage window, nobody at the dealership is going to call and remind you. Okay, habit 3. And this one's all about weight. Towing and hauling more than these cars were ever built to carry. A lot of good folks look at a Rogue or a Pathfinder and think, mid-size SUV? Sure, I'll pull a small trailer or I'll pack the back to the roof for a move across town. Here's the trouble. Every extra pound is more clamping force that belt needs and more heat the fluid has to carry away. A CVT hates sustained heavy load even more than a geared box does. Because remember, that belt's grip is friction, and friction under heavy load is nothing but heat. Drag a loaded trailer up a long grade on a hot afternoon near the limit, and you can shove that fluid right past the point where it protects anything at all. The evidence for this one is the saddest kind, because the people usually did nothing wrong on paper. A family used their SUV exactly the way the brochure showed it. Trailer on the back, kids in the seats, headed up a mountain pass in July, and cooked the transmission on the drive home. They followed the picture. Nobody told them the picture had a ceiling. The fix costs nothing but honesty with yourself. Know your real tow rating. The exact number lives in your owner's manual for your specific model and year. So look it up. Don't eyeball it. And don't trust a number off the internet. Then stay well under it, not right at it. And if you tow even a few times a year, an add-on transmission cooler is one of the smartest few $100s you'll spend. That's a shop job, but it's cheap insurance against a $4,000 bill. Just don't ask a grocery getter to moonlight as a work truck. Now this next one is the reason a lot of pure city cars die young, and you won't see it coming because every bit of it feels gentle. Habit 4. Long stretches of stop and go crawling in the heat, day after day, in a car that otherwise only takes short little trips. Creeping along bumper to bumper keeps that belt working constantly at low speed. Low speed means low fluid flow and almost no airflow, which is exactly when the thing needs cooling the most. Now, stack short trips on top of that. On a 2-mile hop to the store, the fluid never fully warms up, never fully circulates, never gets a chance to shed the heat and grime it's holding. So it just builds and builds trip after trip. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to quit your commute. The fix is about giving the transmission a break inside the day you already drive. On a brutal traffic day, leave yourself more gap up front so you can roll along steadily instead of that constant creep brake creep. If you're stuck dead still at a long light or a train crossing, slip it into park or neutral now and then to unload the belt for a minute. And if your car truly lives on nothing but short trips, take it out on the highway for a good solid half-hour run every so often. Let everything come fully up to temperature. Let the fluid circulate and clean itself out. Your CVT wants to move. It does not want to sit and marinate in its own heat. And that lands us on habit 5, the big one, the reason I made this whole video, and the exact thing that put that rogue on my bench this morning. This one isn't really a driving habit, it's a belief. The belief that your CVT fluid is lifetime fluid and never needs to be changed. Somebody somewhere told you that fluid's good for the entire life of the car, so you never touched it. Let me tell you what lifetime actually means in that sentence. It means the life of the warranty, not the life of your car. Those are two very different numbers, and the gap between them is where I make a living. That fluid is the only thing cooling and protecting the whole works, and it absolutely wears out. It breaks down under heat. It fills with clutch material and fine metal, and old, dark, tired fluid simply cannot shed heat the way fresh fluid does. So here's the cruel part. Every single habit I just walked you through gets worse when the fluid is neglected. The jackrabbit starts, the hill holding, the towing, the crawling. Tired fluid turns all of them from a slow burn into a countdown. Neglect the fluid, and you have personally stacked the deck for a $4,500 failure. Here's the fix, and it's the cheapest insurance in this entire video. Change your CVT fluid on a real interval. A good independent shop can tell you the right mileage for your specific model. It's shorter than most people think, and a whole lot shorter than never. And this is the part you cannot afford to get wrong. It has to be the correct Nissan fluid. These transmissions take NS2 or NS3 depending on your generation, and never ever generic ATF or some compatible jug off a parts store shelf. The wrong fluid in a CVT is its own separate death sentence. And I've seen that mistake kill a healthy transmission all by itself. A proper fluid service runs you maybe a couple $100 and takes about an hour. That's the whole bill. Set that next to $4,000 and change. And tell me which one you'd rather sign for. So here's your recap, straight through, the way you'll actually remember it. Roll onto the throttle. Don't stab it. Hold hills with the brake, never the gas. Don't ask a family SUV to pull like a work truck. Give a city car some room to breathe and a real highway run now and then. And change that fluid on an honest schedule with the exact right Nissan spec. Because lifetime was never once talking about your car's life. Every one of those is free or damn near free. And together they are the whole difference between 60,000 miles and 200,000. Hold on to the one rule that ties every bit of it together. Heat is what kills these boxes, never the miles. Now go watch the one I did on how to read your own CVT fluid right off the dipstick. If it comes back dark or smelling burnt, you'll know exactly where you stand, long before it ever costs you a dime.